Hi, this is Tim, and welcome to Talks with Tim. And today we're going to answer a Patreon question. Eddie asked, what are the steps to start programming PLCs? I have an electrical background, mostly in building electrical, and don't know where to start. This is another one of those questions that really gets me excited because when you're on the outside looking in at our industry, similar to a lot of industries, it can seem impossible to navigate to get into it. And it really is easier than it appears, but there are some critical moments. And I do believe these first few steps to getting into it have a lot to do with whether you will succeed or fail at your journey. If I had to break it down, let's say to 3 steps, then the first step is determining what brand PLC that you want to learn. Because I disagree with a lot of people on this. A lot of people will tell you that you should get a broad knowledge of a lot of PLCs. And I see schools do this, and I really discourage them from it because, they'll set up for a little bit of Allen Bradley and a little bit of Omron, a little bit of Siemens and a little bit of Mitsubishi and a little bit of Automation Direct. And they'll have the students kind of skip across the PLCs throughout the semester. But in the end, they don't have an in-depth knowledge of any of them. So I really do believe that you should choose one and learn it inside and out. I mean, learn every single instruction, every single aspect of it, every single little feature of it, how to do all the little things. And then you're going to find that once you have that really strong foundation, you can jump from Allen Bradley to Siemens to Omron if necessary. But especially starting out, you shouldn't be intending on doing that. You should have a path that will probably keep you on one particular PLC. And that's why really when it comes to what brand I recommend that you learn on, it is going to be the brand that is the most popular in your area. Now, do not go to your local supply house and say, hey, what PLC is the most popular around here? Because they're going to tell you the PLC they sell is. So you need to go and talk to manufacturers and see what they're using. I mean, talk to some of the maintenance people out there and say, hey, what all are you working on? Or, if you don't know anybody in the industry, then check out LinkedIn. You can narrow it down to a location and you can, ask some people. And that's going to be a critical step, both early on in your learning, but also further down the road. Because if you learn the PLC that has the largest base in your area, then you're going to be more marketable to your area. In fact, I was listening to a podcast the other day, Manufacturing Hub. That's Dave Griffith and Vladimir Romanov. And actually, in Vlad, he's actually another YouTuber you should check out. But they had a guest on there, Preston Hadley, and he was talking about this, that if you're looking to learn a product and how to program it with the intent of only using it on your equipment and never really having to see outside of the box, then you're probably cool learning one of, we'll say, the less popular ones in your area to start off with. But if you're looking to improve your skills with the hope of being more marketable job-wise, then being able to write on a resume that you know how to use whatever is the most popular in your area is going to make you so much more marketable than saying that, hey, I learned how to program the cheapest PLC with the free software. So that's why I think it is so important that you do select the right PLC. And I do feel the right PLC is the most popular one in your area. Now, if you've watched many of our videos, most of them are Allen Bradley. And that's because, at least in a broad sense in the United States, Allen Bradley is the most popular. It's the one we get the most requests from. And also is the one that I see put down on more job postings as a required skill. So that's why I do stick with mostly Allen Bradley videos. In fact, we've gotten some extremely lucrative offers to use other PLCs. And as cool as that would be, and really as reliable as these particular brands are, in the end, if I am not putting you in a position that makes you more marketable in your area, then I have failed. And that's why we stick with the brands we do. Now, there is another criteria that kind of goes along with step one that should be in your selection criteria. Is if you've watched many of my videos, you know that while I believe in investing in hardware to better your skills, I don't believe in investing in the software until you need it. So the hardware you choose should have a free version of the software. Free being totally free, or free being time limited, or free being feature limited. And for everybody that is getting ready to type right now saying there are no free versions of Allen Bradley software, stop typing so I don't have to delete your inaccurate comments. If you're looking at the Connected Components Workbench software for the Micro 800 PLC, then there is the free Connected Components Workbench Standard Edition. And realistically, I only recently started using the Developer Edition, and that's because I'm getting ready to do some videos on online editing. And that's the main feature that the paid version offers you. In Studio 5000, there is no free downloadable version, but all you have to do is contact your local distributor and they will give you a time-limited version. And chances are you can get somewhere around 3 to 6 months out of this. And really in 3 to 6 months, you'll probably have determined for sure whether you want to do this or whether you're like, nope, I'm done. This isn't for me. And that's my main reason that I don't like you to buy software, is because even if you buy one of our trainers, you can sell it on eBay for virtually the same price you paid for it. But if you buy software, it is nearly impossible to sell, so you have lost out. Also, just because I know it'll be questioned, you don't need to be best friends with your Rockwell distributor to get one of these deals, because when I was starting out, I got a loaner version of RS Logix 5 from my local distributor, who we had tons of bills overdue with, and they still loaned us the software. So it wasn't a buddy-buddy situation. They will do this for you. So call your local distributor. I know you got to pick up the phone for this one, which is horrible, but if you will pick up the phone and you will talk to them, they also may give you some advice that may help you in your endeavors of learning. Or maybe they will say, hey, if you'd like, you could come by and we can show you some things. There is some advantages to building this relationship. But okay, that leads into what I would say is step 2 of learning to program PLCs. And that is installing your software. Now notice, we have not bought any hardware yet. And there is a reason for this step, because I can't tell you the number of people I have talked to. They're like, yeah, I bought a PLC a couple years ago and now I'm trying to figure out exactly which software I need for it. I'm like, man, you forked out, what, $500 or whatever dollars a couple years ago and that box is just sitting collecting dust? So install the software. 1, it's going to make sure that you're not just on a whim. 2, it's going to make sure that you don't have some activation issue, or that, you know, you're apparently free, or your eBay version of software. Please don't buy software on eBay. I mean, there are a few legit copies of software probably on eBay, but most of what's out there is pirated. I mean, I get it. You're on a budget. You know, maybe you're a student. Oh, actually, I didn't touch on students enough earlier about software. So colleges can get what's called the Educational Partner Program. And it allows their students to get the software for pennies. And so schools, you do need to look into that. You need to look into the Educational Partner Program. It may be a good fit, it may not be a good fit, but it is something that is well worth reaching out to your local distributor for. But anyway, buy legit software. It's going to be worth it in the end. So then we got our software installed. Find a set of lessons and just begin going through it. And we have free lessons. I mean, if you're listening to this, I hope you know it. We have free lessons on the Connected Components Workbench for the Micro 820 PLC, and we have free lessons for Studio 5000 for the Control-Logix and Compact-Logix PLC. So start going through them, because really you can get through several of the lessons and kind of get at least mentally a feel for it before you ever even purchase hardware. Now with the Connected Components Workbench, it also has a simulator. And so in that case, I'd recommend going through like the bit instruction videos, the timer videos, and the counter videos before you ever even think about investing in hardware. In fact, If you call wanting to come to the PLC lab for in-person training, that's one of the first things I'll ask you, well, what experience do you have? If you tell me zero experience, now I can get you from zero experience to troubleshooting PLCs in a week. But just to make sure you're really committed, I am going to make you load that software, use the simulator, and go through that, just to make sure that, again, we're not on a whim thinking that we're going to spend some money and magically everything's going to happen. Because that's what really step 1 and step 2 is about, is making sure that you are committed to learning before you spend any money. And that leads us to step 3, which I guess is the final step of my 3 steps to starting into PLC program. I don't know, is that the title of this podcast? But now you're ready to purchase some hardware. We've made a really good decision on what brand we should learn. We've installed our software and played with a little bit and figured out, okay, yeah, I am kind of interested in how this works. And now, yes, we need some hardware so that we can practice with. And I would love for it to be one of our trainers, but it doesn't have to be. If you can find a good deal on a modern PLC of the brand that you chose in step 1 and grab some lights and switches, you can make your own trainer.